All right. Happy Red Friday, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Trying to just all this cable I got around me. We're situated now. We are good. You know what that means? It is Red Friday. Yes. We love Red Friday here in Kansas City. We are big fans of Red Friday. But hey, we're here. We're a couple days away. We're gonna have a stretch, a 5 day window where the Chiefs are gonna play two football games very soon. Obviously, if you watched Thursday Night Football last night, first off, you witnessed a stunning game, to say the least. And then, other than that, they did promote the Chiefs and Bears game, or I'm sorry, Chiefs and Broncos game for next Thursday. So there will be not one, but two games next week for the Chiefs. So it is going to be a Chiefs-filled week next week. Obviously, a lot of people are excited for that. I know people have their opinions about like Thursday Night Football. Me personally, I don't mind Thursday Night Football. I do take issue with the international games, but then there's this weird thing where the day of the international games, you have football nonstop from 8:30 till 10:30. So it's like you'll take the 14 hours of action, of football action, even though you have problems with that to begin with. Same thing with Thursday night. Like, yeah, a lot of people might not like Thursday night football, but when your team is playing twice in 5 days, you'll take it. Right? That's just the way it works sometimes. Okay. All right. You guys know how this works. If you're new to the Red Friday live chat, this is all this is for you guys. You guys tell me what's on your mind. Ask me a question, speak your mind. If you have some thoughts, put them in the comments below. So for those of you watching live on Facebook and on YouTube, you guys let me know your thoughts on whatever's on your mind. It can be Chiefs related. It can be other football topics. We can discuss that as well. So this is your guys' live stream here. You guys get to pick the topics. I will respond to you guys. I will start off by talking about this Chiefs and Vikings game. Obviously, we did our breakdown on the podcast. So if you haven't done so, subscribe to the podcast, check it out. I will say this. The Vikings are an interesting football team. And, you know, I know there's a saying in sports that, a record doesn't indicate or is not a reflection of a team and how they are. And, you know, I just don't agree with that. You are what your record says you are. I've always believed in that. Now I will say, yeah, especially with the Vikings last year, when the people kept track of the Minnesota Vikings and their record in one-score games, they were undefeated in the regular season in one-score games. Oddly enough, in the playoffs, they shit the bed and they lost to the Giants. So they were 11-1 if you include the playoffs. When you look at the Vikings right now, all 4 of their games have been one-score games. So 1-3 record on the season, but all of them have been extremely close. The Vikings are a weird football team. They do a great job of moving the football, have some playmakers on offense, have some good players on that side of the football, with Kirk Cousins being in the top 5 in passing yards and touchdowns. What's his name? Jefferson. He's up there atop the NFL in receiving yards. Justin Jefferson. I was about to say Jeff Jefferson. I don't know why. But those guys do a pretty good job of doing damage on opposing defenses. The problem with the Minnesota Vikings, they don't take care of the football. They are the worst in that category. They have more giveaways than any team in the NFL. And the Chiefs are not too far from that, but they still manage. They're not as bad as the Vikings. So you guys know my biggest complaint with the Chiefs defense. I think the defense has had a great season. The Chiefs defense, that is. My biggest thing, though, you have to force turnovers. And that is one thing this Chiefs defense has not done. Let me quickly, before I turn it over to you guys and read some of your guys' comments, let me just quickly look at the bear with me here. I want to see how many takeaways the Chiefs have. And it's always a process to get to this. Chiefs are number 3 in total offense. Not as bad as some of us might think sometimes, despite the lack of star power at the wide receiver position. Okay, takeaways. The Chiefs have 5. 4 of them are fumble recoveries. I think 2 of them were like gifted fumbles. I remember in week 1 against the Lions, I think they were close to scoring a touchdown, and the Chiefs kind of got a gimme. I don't think the Chiefs forced a fumble. I could be wrong. And then this past week against Zach Wilson, he just did not have control of the football, did not have a good grip, and the Chiefs capitalized and got on top of the football there. But you know, I mean, listen, I'm not here to discredit the Chiefs. You got 5 takeaways, you earned them. But I will say 2 of those were kind of gimmies. So this is not this defense. Their biggest weakness is not creating turnovers like that. They have only 1 interception in these 4 games. How many interceptions? Let's see here. So only the Giants have 0 interceptions. The Patriots, the Vikings, the Rams, Raiders, Chiefs, Titans, and Browns. So 7 teams have just 1 interception on the season, and I think the Chiefs are the only team above 500. What's the Browns record and the Titans record? The Browns are 2-2, and I think the Titans are also 2-2. So yeah, the Chiefs are the only team above 500 of those 7 teams with 1 pick on the year so far that have just 1 pick. Yeah, only team above 500. So you got to be better than that. You have to be far better. No, I don't want your painting. Yeah, I mean, listen, guys, if you're spamming, don't be surprised if you're gone. All right, I see you guys. Let's get to your guys' comments. Travis says, not sure about you, but I'm excited to see Chase Claypool sit on the bench for a new team. I mean, listen, obviously he's not going to be the starter. That's all Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle there. But I will say, you know, I think Miami can find a way to utilize him. They're number 1 in the NFL in total offense by a wide margin. Something would have to go terribly wrong for them to not even to be second place or below. Now, is there maybe an injury? I heard on the radio on my way. I was listening to Mad Dog Sports Radio, and they were talking about how, you know, the Miami Dolphins just did not seem like they were 100% health-wise. I don't know how you can say that just from watching. But if Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle get hurt, you have a little bit of an insurance policy there in Chase Claypool. So Miami's firepower just got even better. I know they didn't play well this past week, but they definitely got better. Yeah, I agree, Scott. I mean, I don't think anyone disagrees with you. You know, I think the crazy thing is the Chiefs had 7 wide receivers, or they had 7 wide receivers when they cut the roster from 90 to 53. Amir Smith-Marset was a guy that they could have kept if they wanted to, but they ended up trading him to the Carolina Panthers for a 7th-round pick. And you just look at that core, like, what was the purpose of keeping 7? Okay, I get it. You don't have a fullback, so you're probably going to add to either the offensive line, the running backs, or the wide receivers, and they chose the wide receivers, which is understandable. You have your $503 million quarterback, and you want to give him all the firepower possible. So I get that. But to have 7 receivers and to not have a clear-cut number 1 guy does not sit well with a lot of people, me included. I was listening to Matt Nagy's press conference yesterday with the media, and he said that, you know, there isn't a guy on this team that has 18 targets a game. Okay, I mean, he's not wrong, but that's also not okay. You gotta have a number 1 wideout. There's got to be a guy who is the leader of that position group. Right now, there isn't one. I mean, who's your league leader? Is it still, or not league leader, team leader? Is it still Justin Watson, who has more receiving yards than any other receiver on the team? Or even pass catcher, unless Kelsey surpassed him. Yeah, Justin Watson, 163 yards. Yeah. Kelsey's at 155, and that's with one less game. Yeah, I don't know. Your leader in receiving yards is Watson, and he's got a solid average, more than 20 yards per catch. He's kind of been, he was like that all last year. Your leader in receptions is Travis Kelce, which, I'm not surprised, but if he's playing one less game, or has played one less game and has more receptions than everyone else, I don't know. Rashee Rice, he's got 13 receptions on the year for 140 yards. And I can't remember who it was. I was listening to the pregame show on the radio because I was out and about doing things last night. And for the pregame show on, I think it was Westwood One, they were talking about week 5 and fantasy matchups and all that. And they were all over Rashee Rice. They like what they've seen in him over the last 4 weeks and feel like he could be maybe a fantasy stud this week. So for all you fantasy football players out there, there's a little some fantasy advice that I heard on the radio for you guys to think about. I like Rashee Rice. I think he's got very good speed. I think that I keep bringing this up. Sky Moore and Rashee Rice were both second-round picks in recent memory. Rice was drafted this past year, and Moore was last year drafted. Rashee Rice, I feel like, has just got a better grasp of the offense than Sky Moore is, and I'm not really willing to give up on Sky Moore just yet, but you got to pick it up. 7 catches. Jerick McKinnon has just as many catches. Noah Gray, a backup tight end, has more receptions. Justin Watson, who's low on the depth chart, has fewer, one more reception, but far more receiving yards too. Kadarius Toney, man, 9 catches for 57. Kadarius Toney has one more catch than Justin Watson, but has far fewer receiving yards. The progress with Kadarius Toney, and I don't know if the week 1 drops are still in his head or what, but man, he has not progressed the way we would have liked for him to, especially with the way he played last year coming in mid-season. Lee says, I like the Thursday night games if they weren't on Prime. Yeah, I can understand that. And it's crazy too, because with Prime, like, you might be watching it on your smart TV, and then, your friend, his Prime live stream, I was about to say broadcast, technically it's a live stream, that might be a minute ahead of yours, and they might text you and say, oh my God, that was a great touchdown there. And you're like, what are you talking about? They still have the ball at the 10, which is annoying. I hate that. So okay, there we go. Let's see. Let's talk about Bolton coming back this weekend. Yeah, this is a good call here, Levi. Nick Bolton did not practice for 2 weeks, and this week he did practice every single day, which was good. Matt Dickerson, the defensive tackle, I believe that's the defensive tackle they brought in from the Raiders. Let me just double check. Where did Matt Dickerson come from? No, I'm getting him mixed up from someone else. He's been a journeyman in the NFL since 2018. Went undrafted, played for the Titans, Raiders, Cards. He was with the Chiefs last year. Okay, I did not realize that. He was with the Falcons, and now he's back in Kansas City. So, okay, I must have missed that. But anyway, Dickerson did not practice Wednesday nor Thursday, but he did practice today. Everyone practiced today. However, Dickerson is questionable. Nick Bolton is questionable. Who is the third player that is questionable for the Chiefs? I want to say it was Jalen Watson. No, not Jalen Watson. Oh, Wanya Morris, the offensive tackle, who the Chiefs got this past year. Yeah, okay. So those three, yeah, and look, I think Nick Bolton's presence would have helped. Listen, I know there were some bad calls there from the officiating, but I think the Chiefs could have also done some things defensively to try to not let the Jets go. And listen, the Jets put up 20 points. It's not like, it's not like they lit up the scoreboard, but their defense certainly held Patrick Mahomes and company in check for sure. Nick Bolton coming back, yeah, that's huge. I definitely would like to see more from him. Hopefully he can play in this game, but I would imagine he will be on somewhat like a limited role for this game. That's my prediction. I'm a firm believer that we really don't know who a team is until 5 games in. What team is most confusing to you at this point? Yeah, I think 5 is a fair week 5 is a fair point. I would say week 4, week 5, like that's pretty fair. The most confusing team to me right now, the one that stands out the most is the Bengals. Like, I don't understand this football team. Okay, Joe Burrow's hurt. I get that. But this offense is not getting anything done. Out of the 4 games so far this year, half of the games the Bengals have played in, they have not scored a touchdown. That is not acceptable when you have the highest paid player in NFL history. And not just that, he has the lowest passer rating of any quarterback this year. If he's hurt, man, don't do what Shanahan did to RG3. Like, this guy's gonna follow RG3's path if you guys kill him to the ground like this. Bench him, take a couple L's if you need to, but unfortunately, I think they may have made it worse. I don't know exactly what's going on with the injury. Here's the thing: so many times, like, okay, we get injury reports and whatnot, but a lot of times, like later on, we learn things. Like I remember Jamal Charles. The specific details about his knee injury that were reported were not correct, according to him. I think he said something on his website years ago, and then he opened up and explained what really happened. And I don't remember all the details. But my point is, we always hear, like, a player is not performing well, and then after the season, we learn, okay, they were dealing with this. And my question is, why was that not on the injury report? Because you are required to mention those things. Sometimes players deal with shit and they just don't tell their trainers. And at that point, if you're a team, you can't really say much. But to answer your question, the Bengals confuse the hell out of me right now. Who else confuses me at the moment? You know what? I don't know if this is fair to put this team in, but the Commanders, I know they had to rally in a couple of their games, but man, for you to win your first 2 and drop 3 in a row, not to mention your third one was to Chicago, that is not good. I was listening to Sports Talk. Here's what I like to do. Whenever there's like a big game, a big loss, a shocking loss from a team, I like to figure out that city's like local sports talk radio station and try to tune in and just hear the reactions. And people were not happy in Washington, well, and rightfully so. I mean, what else would you expect? But they, from the public standpoint, which doesn't mean much, but from the public standpoint, Ron Rivera is on thin ice, which sucks because I'm really pulling for Eric Bieniemy to just prove a lot of people wrong, and he certainly was the first 2 weeks. Remember, everybody was comparing the Commanders to the Chiefs and their points per game and whether or not Eric Bieniemy was the secret weapon there, and now they're not doing that. And I'm not saying that to shit on Bieniemy, but man, this team just does not look good at all. They're letting Sam Howell just get beat to hell. And I think the last team would be the Vikings, who the Chiefs played this week. They're great at moving the football. They really are. But the turnovers, man, if they can take care of the turnovers, they'll be a good football team. Do we know about Matt Dickerson? It's just a knee injury. That's all we know. But he did practice today. Scott, I think you're talking about wide receivers. I don't know. Mike Evans seemed to be like a popular suitor, but given how the Bucs are playing right now, I don't think he wants to leave that team. Although I don't think he'd be opposed to playing with Patrick Mahomes. But I mean, if you're Tampa Bay and you've got a winning record, and he really wants to leave for whatever reason, man, you're going to have to pay up a really big price. Because generally speaking, when teams are not doing well, their asking price isn't as astronomically high. when they've got a bad record. So yeah, I don't know who's out there. I mean, T. Higgins, like a very unlikely source, I know. But if the Bengals lose this week, I'm sorry, you're not recovering from this. Like, forget about Joe Burrow's calf injury. You have a shit ton of problems if you lose to the Cardinals this week. If the Bengals do drop the ball on Sunday, and when I'm looking through DraftKings and trying to put together my parlay, I struggle with the Bengals. I think they should beat the Cardinals, but I just cannot trust them. I would not be surprised if the Chiefs and Bengals ended up trading, because at that point, the Bengals are not really a contender anymore. They're not really a threat. If you're 1-4 to start the season, I'm sorry, you're not recovering from a Cardinals loss. Not to mention, you've already failed to score touchdowns in 2 games. Yeah, I get Joe Burrow's hurt, but you supposedly upgraded your offensive line. You still have Joe Mixon. I mean, you still have pieces there. It's funny, Bengals fans were laughing at Mahomes saying when the Chiefs won in week 2, saying, well, this guy needs Kelsey in order to win. What about Joe Burrow? He actually has his weapons, and they're not winning football games. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if that team does not win on Sunday, they're sellers before the trade deadline. 100%. Teams with a positive turnover margin in a given game wins 70% of the time. Our turnover ratio over 4 games is -3. Yeah, that's not good at all. The defense has not been doing a lot trying to force turnovers, and the offense certainly has not helped with that a whole lot. Yeah, I know a couple of interceptions from Blaine Gabbert. The backups came in, but I mean, ultimately, that's still your team. And one of them, I think, was not on Gabbert. It was on Rice, who had the ball in his hands and it turned into an interception, which, he's still trying to work on that. So glad Bolton's going to probably be back this weekend. I think Andy Reid will kick the receivers into shape sooner or later. I would like to see a number 1 receiver come in. But last year, we didn't have a number 1 at all. I do believe we need to start getting snaps to Ross to see if he's going to work out. Yeah. A lot of people keep asking about Justin Ross. I want to see Justin Ross as badly as you guys. He's been getting a lot of hype for quite some time. I just don't know. Listen, you got to understand something with Justin Ross, because a lot of people were saying, where the hell is he? Why is he not getting action? The guy has not played football in almost 2 years. So you got to gradually, move him back into things. Like, think about a musical instrument. If you've played guitar for a long time, but then you don't play it for almost 2-3 years, well, you might, forget a couple of things with that. So you would not play the most difficult song on the guitar your first time picking it back up after a couple of years. You want to start with something slow, low key, and then kind of gradually build your way up and try to play a more challenging song. Let's see. I think the defense got tired with our mistakes late in the first half. Yeah. The defense has been doing a lot of things to try to cover up for the team. And listen, in all fairness, you have the Chiefs who, offensively speaking, they have bailed out the defense many times in the past. So I don't have a big complaint with the offense, or excuse me, the defense bailing out the team. This time it's the other way around. But I think a lot of people need to certainly turn things around for sure. You got to turn it around. Yeah, rest in peace, Dick Butkus. The Bears sure as hell did a great job honoring him last night, and that is for damn sure. You're garbage. Yeah, but you're on here watching me, giving me comments and all this stuff. So what does that say about you? I love when people are like, dude, your page sucks, your podcast sucks, but they're on here like watching me. I mean, come on, what are you doing here? Yeah. I mean, for a franchise that spent all that money in the offseason and all the shit they talked. And by the way, I loved Patrick Mahomes, his trainer, Bobby Stroop, who if you guys saw quarterback, you definitely saw him. He I think he wrote after week 2, he wrote day 0-2. Man, for a fan base and even the players who talk a lot of shit, They sure as hell are not backing it up. Jamar Chase to, obviously that the Burrowhead thing. Then they called the Brown. Well, Jamar Chase called the Browns the Elves, and he was pissed off after the game because he admitted, he goes, "Yeah, we just lost to the Elves," and I kept calling them the Elves. Yeah, that's what happens when you run your mouth. I saw CBS Sports post something that the the Bengals, they're like, as of last week, we're 1-3 or 0-4, whatever it was. Ever since the mayor talked all that shit, it's like, yeah, that's it's not doing too well. I appreciate it, Nick. Hey, listen, Bengals fans love my page. Why else are they on here? If you don't like my page, why are you here? And don't say you're trolling me, because you're not trolling me. In order to troll someone, you have to get under their skin. And you sure as hell are not doing that. By any reasonable definition, Tony's stats are not good. I hope he turns it around soon, but facts don't lie. And these are pretty bad. He needs to get open and earn the trust of Mahomes. Yeah, I mean, listen, Brett Veach talked about this earlier in the offseason. The fact that he came in midseason and picked up the offense real quickly, like that, a lot of people were impressed by that. And I've always compared him to Josh Gordon, because the Chiefs brought in Josh Gordon. He had a full offseason at one point and just could not pick it up. He just could not. And, unfortunately, I don't know if it was the XFL or the USFL. That's where he ended up going. But Tony picked it up real fast. This year, we're seeing the complete opposite. It's almost like we're watching Josh Gordon again. I thought there was the drive against the Jaguars in week 2, where he had 3 catches. He looked really good in those 3 catches. The way he caught the football, the yards after the catch, like that is what you expect from Kadarius Toney, especially an Andy Reid style of offense. But we're not that drive is the only good thing we've seen from KT this year. And he's got to be much better than that, especially for a guy that was touted to be the number 1 receiver. Do you think we will struggle against the Vikings? Yeah, I said 28-24. And another thing I said on the podcast is that, I think both quarterbacks are going to make mistakes in this game that they wish they could have back. And it's going to be a team, the team that makes the fewest mistakes. The Chiefs have not done a good job of taking care of the football. The Vikings are worse in that category. This is going to be an interesting game. The Chiefs, in 3 of their 4 games, have been 1-score games. All of Minnesota's games have been 1-score games. So this would not surprise me one bit if this is a 1-score game coming down to the wire here. I know a lot of people are going to look at the win-loss record for the Vikings, and if the Chiefs have a narrow victory, a lot of people might not feel good about that. But I think the Vikings, they're not a good team, but they are a competitive team. They're not good because they're 1-3. You are what your record says you are. I don't care if all of your games have been close. You gotta win football games. You don't get bonus points for making it close. You just don't. But they are a competitive football team, and they're not a team. They're not a layup team. That's what I'm trying to say. The Minneapolis mayor on some jabroni-ish. Yeah, him and the Vikings quarterback Byron Murphy Jr. Yeah, they're definitely. I don't get like mayors when they talk shit. It's like, oh boy, this is never a good thing. It never ends well for the mayors. But hey, good on them. Do your things. Here, I saw the Aaron Rodgers respond that Travis Kelce had about the whole Mr. Pfizer thing. He obviously took the high road on that one, which I thought was pretty smart. But man, he went into his reason for doing the Pfizer commercial, and he talks about, I get the vaccine and the booster to keep myself safe, family safe, everyone in this building safe, which, that's fine. I don't care. A lot of people took issue with his reasoning. A lot of people are saying, look, just be honest and say you did it for the money. What athlete does a commercial? And I don't care if it's a political commercial or a fast food commercial, whatever it is. Yeah, they all do it for the money. It's crazy because Patrick Mahomes, all the charity work he's done and all the amount of big checks that he's donated to charities, people say, oh, well, he gets a tax write-off for that. So what? Like, at least he's doing things in the community. Like, how much money have you contributed to your community? I always laugh when people bring that up, and it's like, what's your point? Yeah, of course he's doing it for some attention for his charity. Yeah, I don't know, I'm getting off topic here, but the whole commercial thing, it's like, yeah, obviously Kelce is getting paid for that. No question about it. I know a lot of people have their stance on the vaccine, and that's completely fine. I don't care if you got the booster or what. That's your business, not anyone else's. But here's my thing. It's like, I guess people get upset when someone influential does this, because then they think someone else. Look, I don't get swayed easily like that. I don't care if you're my favorite athlete in the world. I'm not going to start going to Subway because you do Subway commercials. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just not. I'm not a fan of the fast food restaurant. I'm just not. Some people are easily influenced. I remember in 2015 or 2016, I think Forbes wrote an article about Donald Trump, and the fact that Tom Brady being a supporter of Donald Trump is huge for Trump, because a lot of big time Brady fans are going to follow. Listen, why do you think politicians ask for endorsements from other celebrities? Because they know that if Taylor Swift, I mean, look at Taylor Swift, she supports the Chiefs. Well, a bunch of people bought Travis Kelce's jersey now. So, our society does get influence easily. I don't agree with that. So if someone does a Pfizer or a vaccine commercial, that's up to you. I don't think people should be easily influenced by these kinds of things. I will admit, the BioSteel, like, I've seen a lot of that from Mahomes. Like, okay, I gave it a try, didn't like it. I'm not going to continue buying it just because it's Patrick Mahomes' thing. Just wanted to give it a try. That's it. I think the only time I've ever been very curious to try something from a celebrity would be Stone Cold Steve Austin's beer, his IPAs. Boy, they are good. I love the IPA, man. Give me those any day of the week. Who wins Sunday night, Cowboys or 49ers? Yeah, they were talking. I was just out and about doing things, and they were talking about this game. I just can't pick against the 49ers. The Cowboys, to me, someone was asking earlier about confusing teams. I think the Cowboys kind of fit this bill. I know they've been blowing out a lot of bad teams, which is fine. That's what you're supposed to do when you play a bad team. No team should be shamed for that. But I'm just not sold on the Cowboys. I said it last year. I said it in the offseason. I've been saying it this season. I'm just not sold on the Cowboys. If they beat the 49ers, it's obviously going to be their biggest win of the season. And I'll just straight up say I was wrong, but I'm just not confident in Dak Prescott in this football team. I'm just not. I can't put money down on the Cowboys to win. Can you name a number one receiver that is not named Hill? The Chiefs have not had that one big name receiver like Chase or Jefferson that I can remember. Well, Dwayne Bowe comes to mind right away. And the Chiefs, he had a lot of issues, especially with his hands, but the Chiefs were willing to be patient with him because they did not have anyone else to go to. They drafted John Baldwin in the first round in hopes that he would maybe pan out and do some good things for the offense as a number two receiver and maybe eventually as a number one. That never even came close to happening. Jeremy Maclin, I think, did some good things, but he was not a long-term solution for the number one receiver. So yeah, you're right. I mean, you would have to go back to Eddie Kennison. And then before Eddie Kennison, who do you say? I mean, I even need to look that up right now. Well, Chiefs year by year. Yeah, because before Tyreek Hill, you had Jeremy Maclin for a short period of time. And before Jeremy Maclin, you had Dwayne Bowe for a significant amount of time. It's just unfortunate because when Dwayne Bowe was here, there were more bad seasons than good seasons. And then before Bowe, it was Eddie Kennison. They played together for just 1 year. Unfortunately, they didn't play a lot of snaps together because Kennison got hurt on the first snap of 2007. And when he came back, he just could not recover So it was mainly Dwayne Bowe the rest of that season, really. So yeah, before Eddie Kennison, who was it? This even has me kind of Johnny Morton, man. You kind of forget Johnny Morton was a solid number 2 for a good period of time. Sammy Parker, man, I like Sammy Parker. The things he had, the speed he possessed. I think a guy like him would have benefited with an Andy Reid offense. You know who else I think would have benefited offensively if they had Andy Reid as a coach? Dante Hall. Yesterday it was a 20-year anniversary of that crazy reverse touchdown against the Broncos. I still remember that like it was yesterday, man. That was a wild moment. Good shit. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, before Kennison. Oh, Derek Alexander. Okay. I mean, not he was the number 1 receiver for quite some time. Before that, Andre Rison, Lake Dawson. Yeah. No, it's a very solid point you make. The Chiefs really have not had a clear-cut dominant number 1 receiver like Stephon Page. Okay, he was good, but he wasn't like, it's not like, you know, he was a receiver that was a threat to a lot of teams. Henry Marshall, again, another solid player who is up there. Carlos Carson. Yeah. No, that's a good point. The Chiefs really have not had that dominant receiver after Otis Taylor up until Dwayne Bowe for just a little bit, and then Tyreek Hill. Like Dwayne Bowe, he did have that year where he had 15 touchdown catches. That broke the franchise record. Tyreek Hill eventually tied that. That was the 2010 year, the year the Chiefs won the AFC West. Dwayne Bowe got off to a very slow start. He had that infamous drop against Indianapolis. Remember that one? A lot of people were upset with Dwayne Bowe after that. And then he just unleashed the rest of the season, which was good to see. Yeah, that was a good comment by a good comment and question by Daniel. The Bills are playing strong after the first week debacle. Yeah, I will say it. I was concerned. I thought, Josh Allen committing a lot of turnovers again, like that early, just like it was last year, but he cleaned it up pretty quickly. Give credit where credit's due. He's definitely cleaned up on that. I think I thought before Sunday, I thought Tua was the front runner for MVP. It's now Josh Allen. I'm surprised Mahomes is up there for MVP. So I don't know. I'm not so sure if he's really that high, but it's also early too. As long as Kelsey is playing great, I couldn't care less. I'm sorry, I have to do it. That's like my my biggest grammar pet peeve is when people say can care less or could care less. Let me get the spammer out of here. What commercial he is doing or who he's dating. Oh yeah, that's fine. I mean, listen, Daniel, you're probably in the minority in that one. A lot of people care about these things. I'll just say this. When two celebrities, like two Hollywood celebrities, are dating, I don't know that stuff. I don't follow that shit. I just watch the movies and then go on to the next movie or show and enjoy it. Obviously, covering the Chiefs, or I shouldn't say covering, but being as much as I comment about the Chiefs and all that stuff, I do about the Chiefs. Yeah, okay, it's just natural to follow an athlete and who they date and whatnot. What happened to Randy Gregory? Schefter said 2 days ago he was getting released, and then today he could get traded. If this was the Chiefs investigation, an investigation would be in order. Yeah, Kyle, I don't know if it was you or someone else. Somebody else actually commented asking that same thing in a post I talked about with AFC West players who were brought in last year and then they got rid of them. Yeah, I have not had a chance to really look into that. That's actually a really great question. My guess is maybe the media received incorrect information about him getting released. A lot of times what happens, this doesn't happen often, but if a player is on the verge of getting released, sometimes a team will call him up and say, hey, look, we know you're about to release this guy. We're low on the waiver wire, but we'd like to give you something for him. Sometimes that kind of thing happens. So that's my my guess right now. I don't know if anyone has actually looked into that, what you're asking. I'd be very curious to know. But that's my guess as to what happened with that whole thing. Where are you watching the game Sunday? Oh, you know the answer to that, Scott. In the good old man cave. That's where I'll be. That is where I'll be. All right. We are caught up on the comments. Hey, this is another fun Red Friday live chat. Appreciate you guys joining us for another edition of the Red Friday live chat. Hey, shout out to our sponsor, SeatGeek and Manscaped. Go to SeatGeek, use my promo code Farzine. You get $20 off your first purchase. Only first-time customers are eligible for this. So go to SeatGeek.com, use the promo code Farzine, and you will get $20 off. Go to Manscaped. Get yourself something from Manscaped. You got a lot of great products out there. The Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker, the Beard Hedger, a lot of great products there over at Manscaped. Use my promo code Farzine20. You get 20% off and free shipping if you use my promo code. So go to Manscaped at checkout, use Farzine20 at checkout, and you'll get 20% off and free shipping from Manscaped. All right, guys, that'll do it for this episode of our Red Friday live chat. My name is Farzine Vousoughian. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. I am out. Take care.